Hey everybody, welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. In the 90s, my cousin started a dial-up ISP, which he ran from his home, and I was working with him from the early days. The customer had incorrectly configured her dial-up router, and our lines didn't have caller ID. So her modem would call the help desk. So in a busy, stressful day, this one lady's modem would dial him every 30 seconds. You would get call after call where the phone is screeching at you in between the 50 or so real customer calls. He couldn't block it. He couldn't not answer the phone. At about 4 p.m. after a long day, he got so mad he started swearing at the phone because he just couldn't take it anymore. Got a call from a very posh-sounding lady. I seem to have a problem with a swearing modem. Can you help me? Yes ma'am, I think I might know your problem. Smooth. I managed the help desk for Chevron Texaco, and when we got a call from one of the oil rig satellite phones off the coast of the US to one of my staff, she was Fijian. In the well. Oil rig. One down inside. Very urgent. And then the phone cut off. So she calls me over and explains what she heard and that somehow someone was inside a whale or something. So I get two staff off the phones to basically war dial back to the rig. As the platforms move in the wind and the phones can cut out, I prioritized establishing contact first. Second task, I jumped on the knowledge base and checked for our whale-related protocols. Joking, of course. I got one person to dial up our highest level of escalation, while I checked up on the tactical options that we had for that area of the globe. Chevron has ex-military teams available for rescue for serious issues. Spoke to the head escalation guy we could contact and explained our situation and factually what we had heard. He agreed the best option was to page/scramble the commando team or whatever they were called, and we initiated our standard Severity 1 outage process, normally used for IT issues impacting 3,000 or more staff. Weird, but okay, we're doing stuff. Then the call gets through to the rig. I get shouted to from the team, and I talk to the Texan from the rig. I was talking quickly in case the link went down again, and focused on the most important data first. As we spoke, another person was relaying to the conference call. Jay, are you guys okay? Texan, yeah, doing just fine. Jay, what about the whale? Is anyone injured? Texan, yeah, that's not so good, but no one's hurt. Jay, what do you need first? Texan, we need probably a replacement. Okay, you need a replacement team member? No, just a bit for the whale. What? Totally imagining a horse's bridle bit required to somehow steer this whale. Now I'm really confused. Yeah, it's stuck down there. What? Who's down there? No, the drill bit done stuck inside the whale. Suddenly I realized the issue. Okay, so you have a broken drill bit down inside the well and require a replacement. Is that correct, sir? Yeah. And no one's hurt? No, sir. Okay, based on your rig, your part can be choppered out in about 8 hours. Did you want a reference number for this call? No, sir. Thanks, and have a nice day. I dial into the audio bridge and tell the SEAL team to stand down and explain the confusion regarding the Texan accent to a Fijian and Kiwi. Yeah, that could be confusing for me, an old Jersey guy talking to a Texan on an oil rig. I'm not sure how much it mattered that they were Fijian and Kiwi, but yeah, I can see where accents would come into play here. Chevron again, Hurricane Katrina. Got a call past Timmy as a manager because it sounded weird. This was about 68 hours before it was set to hit. Hi there, ma'am, how can I help? I don't know what to do with these computer bags we just received by courier. I checked for any comms, so had no idea what she was talking about. Can you describe the bags, please? Large white bags of thick polyethylene. Is there any letter or manual that came with it? Oh yes, there is. Okay, open the manual and read out what it says. Unroll the bag. Okay, can you please unroll the bag? Then it says to fill it with air. Okay, can you do that please? Maybe wave it around to get air into it? I have no idea what the heck this is for, but figure RTFM, read the effing manual, is not a bad place to start. It says put monitor and PC hardware inside bag and close the Ziploc top with lots of air inside. Okay, can you do that, please? Done. Good luck, man. We're all thinking of you, and good luck with the evacuation. I realized that the Ziploc bags when filled with air would keep the PCs dry and float to the ceiling when the floods came, and it would settle down after they subsided. It worked well. Lots of people called after they were back in order to plug back in and get working. Well, that's a new one on me. It's kind of ingenious, but I had no idea that was actually a thing. I guess in a pinch, if you're in a hurry, it's not like you can rent a moving truck and load all your gear up and take off. Chevron again, but after Katrina. Angry customer escalation. Look, your staff member is being deliberately obstructive. Sure, ma'am, what's the problem? He refuses to reset my voicemail password. I quickly look at her location, and it had been in the path of the storm. Okay, your voice server is located in the path of the storm. Did you get out okay? What? No, I got transferred to Washington years ago, or whatever that new location was. Ah, okay, your voicemail is still on the server, which is inside the evacuation zone. Well, why can't you reset the password? Oh, that's because we have to dispatch a field tech to do the reset, and they have evacuated everyone. Well, that's terrible. Yeah, I sure hope we don't lose anyone. No, I mean, I need my voicemail. This is outrageous that you can't reset it. Lady, are you serious? Absolutely. I don't think you understand. The server your voicemail is on, we believe to be under 3 yards of water. We have no idea why it's even working. Every single employee in the state has to call my team and tell us that they are alive, and we're recording that for the company to notify next of kin once safe, so we're very busy right now. All the engineers and staff have been evacuated, and frankly, I don't care about the fact that you forgot your password while you're safe in Washington. If you have a problem with this situation, you can take up that and the fact that I don't care about your problem to your manager. I have real problems to attend to. Only time I ever hung up on a customer. I didn't lose my cool, but I was fuming. The professionalism and calmness from those staff on the rigs and evacuating was such a contrast to that petty bee. Yeah, I mean, I could understand being a little upset about it in the beginning, but once, as a customer, once I realized that where the server was and what was going on with the storm and the people and all the logistics and the safety concerns and all that, that's the point where I would have said, oh, you know what? Hey, we'll get back to this another day. Thanks, you know. This woman had absolutely no shame at all. That's crazy. I worked for a company that replaced dumb terminals with PCs or laptops for everyone and set up a wide area network. It was a huge undertaking, and the learning curve was steep. The people in our corporate office were at first inclined to call my techs for anything and everything related to their computers, including moving them 4 inches to the left. After a few months, it let up. I got a call one day from someone in accounting. She said she had moved her computer all by herself. She was very proud she didn't have to ask for help. But now her computer wouldn't turn on. I asked her some questions and ascertained that with the move, she had to plug everything into a new plug. She had everything plugged into a power strip, which she was proud about. I dispatched a tech who came back a few minutes later laughing. She had moved everything correctly and had all the right plugs in all the right places, and everything was plugged into the power strip. And the power strip was turned on. However, she had plugged the power strip into itself. True story. She was just grabbing plugs and plugging them in. Oh my god, just trying to make sure each plug had a home. Amazing. When I was working for a different company, I had a customer at a small remote office that wanted to learn about computers. So he would call a couple or more times a day. It was extremely difficult to walk him through anything because I was never confident he was actually doing what I said. He was very frustrated about the fact that we had locked down a bunch of things on the computer. We didn't want people changing some settings we needed for them to be on the network. A few months into this, he called me one day and crowed about the fact that he had bought his own computer for home, and now he had a computer that he could do anything he wanted to on. Of course, I didn't give a you-know-what, but I tried to make supportive, encouraging sounds at him. A few days later, he called and asked how he could fix his blue screen of death on his home PC. I asked him what he had done right beforehand, and he said he had been fiddling with some settings, but that wasn't what caused this. I determined he had crashed his machine and had to wipe it and start over. Yep, you guessed it, that exact same scenario was repeated. I think it was 4 more times. He kept crashing his home machine, playing with the settings. At least he finally stopped asking me about it. and then he retired. Also true. Yeah, some people shouldn't be fiddling with any settings or any parts. No screws, no wires. It's all you can do to get them to check their email properly some days. My first encounter was back in the heydays of Windows 95. The office I was working at had received an emergency work order right at the end of the workday. Someone's computer was giving them an error message every time they shut down the computer, and that it needed to be fixed. One of the techs dropped what he was doing and went over to the person's office, who, of course, had left for the day after calling this emergency work order, and couldn't find anything wrong. The tech was back in the office early the next morning, when this person showed up and discovered the error message and showed him how to resolve that error when it shows up. Here's the error message the person was receiving. It's now safe to turn off your computer. This was back in the day when computers had actual power switches connected to the power supply, and they didn't turn off on their own like modern systems. Yeah, my Windows 95 computer did shut down fine on its own. I don't know if it's because I got a later updated version or something, but I could do shut down no problem, and it did. But there was also the extra switch on the back of the power supply, just like he's talking about. I guess it was sort of a crossover or a bridge between those two bits of software settings or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, mine did shut down, but I also had the extra power switch. Very strange. I was working as a tech for a service company, and we received a call from one of our clients about a computer that had pop-up ads and malware on it. I was given the honor of rescuing the computer from the evil of pop-up ads. When I get there, I'm met by the owner, who begins to prepare me for what lies ahead. There was one member of his staff that was a great guy, but about as straight-laced and religious as you can imagine, and the rest of the staff thought it would be funny to play a joke on him. It took everything I had not to fall over laughing over what they did. Oh my goodness. It was hysterical. There was porn, more porn, and a side order of porn all over this poor guy's computer. So they went to every single gay porn site they could find, clicking on any and every banner ad they could find, so they could install any and every helper toolbar that was offered. They enabled the Windows 98 active desktop and set it to a porn website. They changed its default homepage to a gay dating site. Shortcuts to Word documents now went to porn sites. Excel files had been replaced with shortcuts to pictures or movies from various porn sites. It took me a while to get everything cleaned up, but after an hour or two, the computer was back in working order. The pranksters got a stern lecture from the boss, and the prankee got an apology from the staff for what they did. Oh, man. I mean, it's kind of funny for me to laugh at it, but, I don't know what this guy did, if he deserved it or if he didn't, but yeah, in the workplace, that's really not the thing to do. But that reminds me of a story. So I was taking some computer hardware classes at a community college way back when, and I had two classes back to back, and there was a few students in the class who were also in both classes with me. And the first teacher that was in was a cool guy. We liked listening to him. Everything was cool. The second guy, he was nice enough, but he was very monotone, dry, very difficult to sit through an hour and a half, 2 hour long class and listen to him lecture. It was sort of droning. So we decided one day that we were going to make things interesting. He very rarely looked at the screen behind him when he was working at the podium in the front of the classroom. And he would just click to go to the next slide of his PowerPoint presentations and things like that. So we decided we didn't create this, but we did install it on the computer up front. A screensaver that looked like the blue screen of death. And we would set the screensaver so that it would go off like in 30 seconds, I think, when it would activate. So he'd be standing there lecturing, and only three of us, knew about it. Everybody else was totally oblivious. And so he'd be lecturing, and 30 seconds later, the blue screen of death would come up. Somebody well-meaning in the front row would turn around and tell him about it. He'd look at the screen and sort of look a little concerned, but nothing major. So he would restart the computer because no keys on his keyboard would do anything except the space bar. The space bar was how we had it set to trigger to wake the computer back up. So he would do a hard restart on the computer. He probably, in the first 45 minutes to an hour, there goes my dog. In the first 45 minutes to an hour, he probably hard restarted that computer 6 times, 7 times, and started getting a little frustrated until one of the other guys started giggling, and then he figured out that there was something going on. So, yeah, and it was password protected. Each teacher had their own password to get on the computer. It just so happened that the instructor before him had stepped out to use the restroom for a minute, and one of the guys slid up there and did all this because the guy didn't log off when he walked out of the room. So, yeah, it was funny, but I can see where that would really screw things up eventually if you keep playing jokes on people. And that's my story, my contribution for tonight. A police department from the Deep South called asking for help to gain access to a computer system that they confiscated during a raid at a local brothel. Apparently, it contained information about the clients of this particular brothel. After verifying their identity through our department head, I was given the okay to assist them. As I was walking the detective through the process of getting into the system, he made some comments about being a complete novice and had no clue about computers. This was the early 90s. He asked if it were possible for someone to accidentally erase all the data on the hard disk. I told him it was possible, but a data recovery service could likely get it back depending on how extensive the damage was. He asked me if only a hardware problem could cause data loss, and I told him that if the administrator wanted to, he could delete the entire system, but that would not be an accident. He then asked for some examples of the commands that could do that. Giving the customer what he wanted, I told him a couple. "So if I input this command, it'll wipe out the entire system?" he asked. "Yes, that's right," I replied. There was a short silence, then the detective said very calmly, "Oh, spit. I guess I shouldn't have tried out that command. The system is no longer working." Well, yeah, nothing fishy about that. "You actually input that command?" I asked, being pretty surprised. "Yeah, I told you I was a novice." I tried to explain to him how to contact a data recovery service and what he needed to do to help get the data back. He thanked me and said he needed to go confess to the district attorney that the data was lost. In retrospect, it is not surprising how calm he was after completely destroying all the data. In all likelihood, he made a lot of friends in the area that day. That sounds exactly to me like he was covering either somebody else's butt or maybe his name was on that list. Oof, fishy stuff. Not good. A woman called my help desk and said her keyboard stopped working in the middle of her task. So I took her replacement keyboard up to her floor and walked over to her cubicle. I tell her I have her new keyboard and ask if I can take her seat so I can disconnect the old one and set up the new one. I pick up her old keyboard and it feels heavy. I tilt it and a stream of 6 to 8 ounces of hazelnut coffee spills out. She says, "How did that get in there?" Are you kidding me? Oh my god. That sounds like my kids. You know, they'll walk through a room and knock something over and I'll say, "Why is that on the floor?" And they turn around all wide-eyed and try to act surprised. "Oh, I have no idea," looking shocked. Their acting skills really aren't that good. Little Jessica loves her daddy. Jessica loves making daddy's favorite sandwich. So Jessica makes daddy's favorite sandwich for him before he gets home. Jessica wants to surprise her daddy by bringing his sandwich to his home office. Jessica thinks she wants to surprise her daddy by hiding it, so he'll be happy when he finds it. Jessica really wanted to surprise her daddy by placing the sandwich on his laptop and close the lid. So when daddy opens his laptop, he'll be surprised. Guess what? Daddy's favorite sandwich is peanut butter. Daddy was surprised. Oh my god. That I could really see. Ugh. Kids, their hearts are all in the right places, but man, why do they have to go for all the expensive stuff when they surprise people? About 10 years ago, I was at this guy's apartment repairing his computer. Like a lot of people do, they'll sit opposite me watching me disassemble their laptop as I replace parts. We talk about the technology and ask questions about upgrades and such when, out of the blue, he asked me if I want to buy some pot. Marijuana, for those of you who don't know. I say, no thanks, and I keep working. The small talk about upgrades stop and he just sits there with his arms folded watching me. I stay concentrating on my task to finish quickly. He asked me one more time in a more stressed voice. "You sure you don't want to buy some pot?" "Yeah, I'm sure." Now you have to realize I'm in a strange guy's apartment. No one other than Dell knows I'm there, because I was assigned to go there to do the repair. Pot at this time is illegal to own, and if you're caught with less than an ounce, it's considered a misdemeanor, a $50 to $200 fine. But selling pot is considered a felony, which can lead to serious jail time. And I'm alone in his apartment with him between me and the front door. He almost certainly has a weapon, if not several. So I do the only thing I can. I keep my head down, finish my work as quickly as possible, give him back his now working laptop, pack up my tools and say, "Thank you, have a nice day," and leave as quickly as possible, and breathe a sigh of relief when I drive away. And yet somehow I forget to leave him one of my survey cards with my email address and phone number on it, asking if he was happy with my service. Such negligence on my part. Yeah, sounds pretty sketchy. Sounds like he was also desperate for a sale. Must not have been very good at what he did. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you've enjoyed this content, do me a favor, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya!